Happy to have you guys here in our building, or if you're joining us online, we're happy to have you there too. Just happy to see you guys. I see a few faces. I know some people were traveling and out and about for the holiday weekend last week, so it's so happy and so glad to see you guys back today. A few of our other folks are traveling now, and we pray for you that everything is safe, that you stay safe, and that you come back to us, but you don't bring anything else, just you, nothing else. That's all we want, okay? But we're so happy that you've decided and chosen to worship with us today, especially if you're at home. We know you have a buffet of people to worship with and speakers to listen to, and we are so blessed that you stopped by and decided to check out ours this morning. So a few announcements, some things that are coming up. The first is that we will be serving meals at Amy's House of Hope again on July 21st, and if you can help with that, or if you wanted to help last time but you weren't able to, please talk with Christina. She will get you all the information that you need. Right now we need donations of dessert, bottled water, and like bread, garlic bread, those kind of things. And they can only have 6 people volunteer in the building. So if you went last time, maybe step back and let somebody else have a turn this time. If we need you, we know who you are, we'll call you. There's only 6 of you, so we know who you are. A couple other announcements coming up. If you are interested in mowing the yard here at the church, or using a weed eater and just taking out all of your frustrations on quarantine life, you may do so on our property with that green mower right there in the picture. If you are interested in just having fun, getting out and mowing, please see Jerry Steele and we'll get you on the list. If you're already on the list, he can contact you and just try to get you on a schedule. A few other things coming up. This Friday, July 17th, is the 2020 Masters Open Golf Tournament for the Able Pregnancy Resource Center. You can sign up on their website to play golf right up until the day of. So if you're interested in golfing for a wonderful cause and a wonderful organization, please go to aprcfundraiser.org and you can get signed up. And just kind of all the information there is online, the schedule and the teams and how the money gets used. All that information is right there on their website. For all the ladies, gentlemen, you can tune out for just a moment. In honor of Bethany Kiesecker getting married, her bridal shower will be held here in the church Saturday, August 1st at 11 a.m. And all the Landmark ladies are invited. Bethany hasn't been around in a little while, but most of you know her, and she grew up in this church, and she's getting married very soon. And so we have been blessed to be part of her life and to be chosen to host her bridal shower. So if you're interested in that, you can find your information on the church bulletin, and it'll be on Facebook very soon. Also, for our ladies, we have a socially distant social coming up on July 24th at 7 p.m. It'll be outside, weather permitting, so bring a lawn chair, bring some snacks and some drinks, and you can just yell at each other across the parking lot. That's how I imagine it's going to work. I don't know. But no, you can certainly come out and just enjoy some fellowship. It might be nice just to sit and talk with somebody after being alone for so long. A few other things. Our annual yard sale has been postponed. We haven't come up with an official schedule, but we are still collecting things. So please contact those numbers on your screen or in your bulletin if you have some stuff you'd like to donate, or you could bring it up to the church yourself, and we can just help you unload it and put it somewhere until we actually can have our yard sale and unload it all. And just a final announcement is sharing some prayer requests with you. Ryan and Amberly Lambert, many of you know Ryan, he sings pretty well up here, but his great-grandmother passed away on Thursday, and they were very close, and so the family is taking it kind of hard. They were all scheduled to take a nice family vacation together this weekend, and when great-grandmother passed away, those plans have changed, and so now they're planning her memorial services instead of the vacation. So just pray for them as they go through this. I know there's been many in our church have lost friends and family during this time, and so you know that there are additional challenges that were not present before. So please pray for them and keep them in mind. They haven't said that they needed anything else, but I know that we will take good care of them if the need arises. So let's pray together as we continue in worship. God, thank you so much for today. Thank you for a beautiful weather. Thank you for a lovely building where we can come and sit and be safe and worship together. Thank you for the technology that we have that allows us to broadcast these out to those who can't be with us in person. God, we ask that no matter where somebody is physically, God, that you would draw near to them spiritually. God, we just pray that you'd be over this service today and all the other services happening. God, may your word go out. May lives be changed. May we play a small part of that today. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to church. I'm behind the piano. Would you join the worship team standing? And let's celebrate this truth from Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 17. For the Lord your God is living among you. I'm going to read that one more time. For the Lord your God is living among you. He is a mighty Savior. He will take delight in you with gladness. With his love, he will calm all your fears, and he will rejoice over you with joyful songs. Let's worship the Lord together. We stand and lift up our hands, for the joy of the Lord is our strength. We bow down and worship him now. How great, how awesome is he. Together we sing. sing a new song for our congregation, but probably most of you already know it. And I want to just read this verse to you one more time because God told me that somebody else needed to hear it again. From Zephaniah 3:17, "For the Lord your God is living among you. He is a mighty Savior. He will take delight in you with gladness, and with his love he will calm all your fears. He will rejoice over you with joyful songs." We're going to sing Waymaker. Praise the Lord. Lord Jesus, we celebrate today that you are a mighty God. You are a miracle-working God, and we praise you and we thank you for that. Lord, I pray that you would help us to receive all of the things that you have for us. The message, the promises in your word, and God, how you want to talk to each one of us individually and just love us more. Hold us closer, God. Lord, help us to listen and hear and understand everything that you have for us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Good morning. I have the distinct honor of being the first solo after this whole thing has happened. So we're going to try to start doing that every Sunday now. So you pray for me this morning because after we practiced and then we sang, I've got about 50% of my voice left. So I'm going to try to sing It Is Well, which I think is something that all of us as Christians should be able to say. That even with everything that's going on, excuse me, that it is well with our soul. Random earth has quaked before, moved by the sound of his voice. The seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken from our regard. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well, Lord. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well with me. Well, far be it from me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. And through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well, Lord. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well. It is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in him. The waves and wind still know his name. Oh, let go, my soul, and trust in him. The waves and wind still know his name. Yes, let go, my soul, and trust in him. The waves and wind still know his name. The waves and wind still know his name. It is well.
it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you. It is well with me. Oh, it is well.
Thank you, Sheila. It's good to have a special back, isn't it? If you would like to do that, or if you were on the list to do those things before, you're probably still on the list to do that now, and you can check that on your way out the door. So Sheila is not the only one. We have more coming. I love that song for a lot of reasons, both the original and this contemporary version, but a lot of times we hear that and we say, well, the people that when their life is, everything's going bad, and they sit there and say, oh, it's well, I trust God. We normally think two things about those kind of people. We either think that they're faking it, right? That they're just cliche Christians who are just saying the right things because it's what they have to say. Or we think that they're some super Christian, right? Like they must have ascended to a higher level, right? Because we're not there. Especially in the world in which we live in today with all the things that are happening. The cool thing about that is that can be 100% true for you. And you don't have to be a super Christian to be able to say it is well. We just have to fix our eyes on Christ. And we're going to talk about that today because that is the foundation of wisdom. And so we're going to spend a couple weeks talking about that. And so keep that song tucked in the back of your mind. Keep those words in the back of your mind. Because I think we can all agree that the world today is crazy, right? With Sahara dust flying around, which apparently happens every year, every couple of years, but just nobody talks about it because it's not 2020, so now we're looking for everything to be the end of the world. Maybe the Mayans got it wrong and they just ran out of calendar, I don't know. Right? There's so much tension and so much division, so many murder hornets, so much confusion, right? So much misinformation, too much real information, right? Aside from all the fake stuff, there's a lot of real stuff out there too, and too much free advice in this world, isn't there? Right? Everybody's an expert on everything. Your friend who barely graduated high school now is an expert in the Second Amendment, right? And then your friend who maybe is really smart, maybe the smartest person you know, is now posting these weird conspiracy theories. And you're like, I thought you were smart, but you're talking about all of these dots connecting that, like, those dots don't even exist, man, right? There's so much out there, so much free advice, and everybody's an expert. And so it's really hard to sift through all the junk and find real wisdom. And if you can find it, it's incredibly difficult to use the wisdom you have in order to make good, right decisions. Right? Anybody feel me? Everybody trying to do the right thing, but just not sure what the right thing is? It's heavy, and it's hard, and it's stressful to live like that day to day. So many of us that are experiencing that, just trying to sort through everything and make the right decisions each and every day. Basic, simple things. Because the information we have to work with changes every day, maybe even faster than that. Maybe what was true this morning at the start of our worship, now at the end, is going to be changed. Information changes fast. And so, but what if I told you you didn't have to live like that every day? Would you be interested? You at home, if you didn't have to live like that, if you didn't have to sort through all of this information and be stressed out about making the wrong choice in everyday things, from what clothes do I wear, what companies do I buy from, can I even put Goya beans in my cabinet anymore, right? What if I told you there was an easier way to live that wasn't nearly as stressful? What if I told you that you could go to one place to find wisdom, to make it much easier to find and make the right choice, no matter the situation or information available to you? Does that sound too good to be true? I think for some of us it does, right? But even if that sounds too good to be true, are you at least a little bit interested? I think so. Are you interested in making things a little easier for yourself and those around you, especially those who look to you to make decisions? Are you interested in removing some of the stress from your life? Anybody? A little bit less stress, right? Yeah. You can't kick your kids out until they graduate, so I'm not talking about that. Right? That would remove a lot of stress for some of us, I'm sure. But if you would be interested in some of those things, I have good news for you. The Bible is full of wisdom to help us live righteously each and every day. And righteously just means doing the right thing for everybody involved, not just for yourself. No matter what situations we're faced with, we can turn to Scripture to find wisdom to make our decisions a little easier. Now, they may not have all of the answers step by step like we would like. This is not a self-help book necessarily, but it does hold the keys to putting together systems and help you make the best decisions in any information, in any situation. It can help you. Specifically, we're going to skim through the Book of Proverbs in the next couple of weeks, just to give a taste of the wisdom available to us in Scripture. This is the wisdom that God has made available to us that we can use each and every day. And this, what we're going to talk about in the next couple weeks is adapted from a YouVersion plan called Wisdom for Right Living. If you guys are looking for something to read, something to get into the Bible and just find something that you can use every day, find this application on your smartphone called YouVersion. It's simply called the Bible app, and there's all kinds of wonderful things, and this is adapted from one of those plans. It was a 7-day plan. I tried to fit it all into one day, but it didn't fit, so we're going to be talking about this for a couple of days. Let's pray together. God, thank you for your word. Thank you for the wisdom that we can find. Thank you for being the foundation for wisdom. As we sang and heard just a moment ago, if we can fix our eyes on you, which is the foundation of wisdom, God, we won't be shaken by everything else that happens in this world. We can say, it is well with my soul because I'm following you and your wisdom and your advice. God, may we have the courage, may we have the knowledge and wisdom to take you at your word and open it up and live righteously. God, open our eyes and ears and hearts to what it is you have to say to us today. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Now, has anyone ever heard of a life coach before? If you have, raise your hand. If you're at home, raise your hand so I can see you. Thanks, appreciate it. But it's becoming popular for many people in business, and specifically, we're talking business like your Wall Street types, your executives. A lot of these people who appear that they have things figured out, it's very popular for them to hire a life coach. And there's a lot of pastors that do this too, but life coach. So there's all kinds of companies that do this. There's all kinds of people that train you to be a certified life coach. And this is just some of the stuff that they are supposed to help you do. But one company that trains these coaches advertises their services. So they don't actually give you a life coach. They just teach other people to be life coaches. But they advertise their service like this. With more and more people experiencing the benefits of being a professional life coach, the word is out. Well, yeah, it's easy to tell someone else how to live their life, is it not? Life coaching really works when you learn the necessary skills covered in our life coaching academy, right? I think they're all kind of do the same thing, but if you go to this one, you figure it out, right? Everybody advertises like that. My company's the best. Come and work from us. But the thing is, life coach is not a new thing. King Solomon has been a life coach through generations. He acted like a life coach to his sons. When he wrote the Book of Proverbs, it was really addressed to his kids as they were going to come up and lead after him. But it was an open letter to anybody who would take a look. And King Solomon advertises his life coaching service in the opening words of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 1, verses 1 through 7. It tells us this: the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. It's pretty good credentials if you're going to start, right? And this is what they're for gaining wisdom and instruction, for understanding words of insight, for receiving instruction in prudent behavior. What's prudent? Just good. Doing what is right and just and fair. I would like to do what's right and just and fair. For giving prudence to those who are simple. I don't know if you consider yourself simple, but sometimes I think my wife says I am. So maybe that applies to me. Knowledge and discretion to the young, or young at heart. Let the wise listen and add to their understanding, and let the discerning get guidance. For understanding proverbs and parables, the sayings and riddles of the wise. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Basically, Solomon says, look, my proverbs, my short statements, the wisdom I'm going to give to you, my proverbs will impart wisdom and instruction necessary for understanding other words of instruction. It's a little bit convoluted, but basically he's saying, look, if you let me teach you, if you understand what I'm saying, you'll understand everything. But receiving the instruction and understanding insight leads to doing what's right, just, and fair. If you get wisdom, especially from King Solomon, it will help you do what's right, just, and fair. They will teach the young, but the wise should also listen and add to their learning. And fundamental or foundational or essential to all of this, in verse 7, is the fear of the Lord as the beginning of knowledge. Solomon ends his introductory paragraph by telling us that the fear of the Lord is to be the underlying principle of our worldview. You start there. Start with fear of the Lord and let everything else filter through that. If we miss that, we'll have a skewed or false view of the world, so anything we think is wisdom is going to be way off track. It's like your headlights being off just a little bit makes a big difference at night, right? It may not be off a little bit on the wall, but when you're driving down the road, it's a big difference. I learned last night, this is not in here, but I couldn't sleep last night, and so I was just reading all kinds of random information about headlights. I don't know why. That's what I was doing. But if you adjust your headlight beam 0.9 tenths of an inch, not even an entire inch, you can lose 85 feet of visual. Like if we move it up or down the wrong way, less than an inch, you can lose up to 35 feet of front seeing distance if you do it wrong. Little tiny bit off leads to way off, right? Or you could blind everybody else coming at you too, right? So this is the thing, right? If you have the right foundation, if you start in the right place, everything else falls in line. But if you're off even just a little bit, you can have bigger issues down the road. If we miss this fear of the Lord, we'll have a false view of the world. And there's some other examples I like. Maybe you're not a headlight person, so I got some other examples for you. Someone made, and it's also related to cars. I was just in a car mood this week, okay? I'm trying to fix my own car, and so I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying, right? So this is a great example. Someone, like, let's say me, attends an automotive mechanics course, and I learned how to replace an alternator or a fuel injector. But that's the only class I took. And it's not the first class. So let's say I just jumped in and took like the third class in the series. And so I know how to do an alternator and a fuel injector. But that's it. That's the only class that I took, right? If I don't understand the basic principles of an internal combustion engine, can I ever really be a great mechanic? No, I could just change alternators and fuel injectors. Sometimes, right? Because an engine's going to change, and I may know how to do it on this one, but if I don't know the whole process, I'm going to mess it up on something else. Maybe you're not a mechanic person. Maybe you love music. A more personal example, I've learned how to play certain notes on the bass guitar. I look at a letter on a page and I know where I'm supposed to play that on the strings. I've been doing that for 15 years. I get it right 90% of the time. I'm doing okay. I can read the paper, put my fingers where they're supposed to go to make the right sounds at the right time, usually. But until recently, I didn't understand the principles of music. I didn't know why I was playing those ones in those places at that time. And I didn't know that there was other things I could do in between this one and that one that would work. I didn't understand the principles of music. And without that information, I'm never going to be a great musician, just a guy that plays the right notes at the right time most of the time. There's a difference, right? If we really want to succeed in wisdom, if we really want to succeed in anything, we need to do more than just know how to follow the paper. We need to know the basic principles of life. And it boils down to the simple fact that God is God and we are not. Right? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding, is the beginning of knowledge. What does that mean? Acknowledging that God is God and I am not. We can start there. Like that is the principle and the foundation of all wisdom. Without that understanding, without that acknowledgement, we'll never be truly wise. We may get it right 90% of the time, but we won't really be wise. Does that make sense? Let's jump back up to verse 3 real quick. It says, for receiving instruction in prudent behavior, doing what is right and just and fair. These are things we want to do. That is completely opposite of impulsive behavior, which is what a lot of us find ourselves doing. We have impulsive reactions. We behave certain ways. We would call them our knee-jerk reactions. But doing what's right, just, and fair is not a knee-jerk reaction, right? We have to take time. We have to think about those things. This is wisdom for living the life God intends us to live. And so the goal of the book of Proverbs, then, is to teach us to live wisely and rightly with a correct understanding of God and our relationship to Him. We are to fear the Lord. And with that foundation, we can build a sound life if we follow the instructions that Solomon gives in his life coaching book. So if you wanted to live, to remove stress, if you wanted to learn how to make right decisions all the time, dig into Proverbs. And we're going to look at, we're going to go in a little bit more. We're going to back up again to, this is kind of the main point, but Proverbs 1:7, keep this in the back of our mind, right? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So what exactly does it mean to fear the Lord? Does it mean that we tremble every time we pray, that we're afraid He's going to throw lightning bolts at us? Is it respect? Is it to be in awe? Is it to just be amazed at how great God is? We'll get into that in just a second. I like this because I like to jump around, so it works for my brain track. Follow me. Anybody ever have to read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in school? Anybody ever see the movies? Some of you? Okay. C.S. Lewis, excellent Christian writer. He's not a theologian by any stretch of the imagination, and he misunderstood a few things from time to time, but he was a wonderful Christian man and a prolific fiction writer. And so The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Chronicles of Narnia, is kind of what he's most famous for. But it was what we would call an allegory, or a really, really long metaphor for Jesus and God, and just he basically took the Bible, made a fiction story, and made God a lion. Pretty cool, right? And he didn't even really hide it that much. Like, you read through and you're like, oh yeah, this is the gospel with a lion in it, right? And Jesus is frequently called the Lion of Judah anyway, so it's not that big of a stretch. But in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the author, C.S. Lewis, has a dramatic scene where the children, and the basic story is these kids find a wardrobe or a fancy dresser thing, and they open it, move the clothes, there's a door, they go in the door, they go to this magical land called Narnia, right? It's cool. There's talking animals there, beavers and stuff. We're going to talk about that, right? And so there's a scene where these children these three children, I think there's three, I never read the book, I don't know. I didn't have to read that in school. But the kids come and they're talking with Mr. and Mrs. Beaver, who are all actual beavers, it's not just their name. So Mr. Beaver mentions Aslan, and the children are intrigued, and because they're describing him and saying he's strong and he's good and he's the king and all of this stuff, and so they're intrigued. Now, when one of the children, Susan, learns that Aslan is a lion and not a man, because she's a normal child in this world of magic, so even if the animals talk, a lion is still pretty scary, right? He's a lion. And so she asks, is he quite safe? I shall feel, and they're British, so I'm not going to do the accent, but just imagine. I shall feel rather nervous about meeting a lion. Well, yeah, it's a lion, you should be. That you will, dearie, and no mistake, said Mrs. Beaver. If there's anyone who can appear before Aslan without their knees knocking, they're either braver than most or else just silly. Then he isn't safe, said Lucy, another one of the children. Safe, said Mr. Beaver. Don't you hear what Mrs. Beaver tells you? Who said anything about safe? Of course he isn't safe. He's a lion. But he's good. He's the king, I tell you. He's good. He isn't safe, but he's good. Now again, this whole thing is about God. And C.S. Lewis made no mistake. He wasn't trying to hide that fact. He was just trying to make this accessible for children. And so there are two things we must not do when we think of the fear of the Lord. So when we try to understand, what does it really mean to fear the Lord? Because that's the foundation of understanding. We got to figure that out. How do I properly fear the Lord? What does that look like? Well, there's two things that people do a lot, and we should not do them. We must not water down fear of the Lord by reducing it to simply respect or even awe or wonder, because it is more than that. It is not simply, oh yeah, I respect God. It's more than that. So the scriptures use the word fear on purpose. They didn't say respect. They didn't say in awe or wonder. They chose the word fear. And even in the original languages, fear means fear. Frequently, whenever a messenger of God shows up, an angel shows up, right? We picture angels as these, shiny white dudes with white bird wings. I don't know why, but we do. I'll have to look into why we came up with that sometime. But that's what we picture, shiny blonde guys with white wings, right? But that's not what the Bible tells us they looks like. Every time an angel shows up, people fall down. They faint. It says they fall down as though they were dead. They're so terrified of what the angel looks like, they fall down and faint out of fear. And the angels always have to start their message, don't be afraid. And that's not even God. That's just the dudes he uses to send his messages. And they are terrifying. And so fear of the Lord is just that, fear. It should be an element of fear because he is the God of the universe. He created everything simply by speaking. There's power there that we cannot imagine. We should be a little bit afraid of that. Scripture teaches us to fear the Lord, and that, of course, includes respect, and it does include awe, and it does include wonder, it does include amazement. It includes all of those things, but it is much more than just that. Mrs. Beaver is right when she says, if there's anyone who can appear before Aslan without their knees knocking, they're braver than most or else just silly. The same is true of God. If you can really come before God and have no fear, not even in the back of your mind, you have misunderstood God. The Old Testament is full of examples of people who were terrified to even hear God's voice, let alone see his presence. In the Exodus, when the Israelites have come up out of Egypt and they're wandering through the desert, they come to Mount Sinai and God's cloud, his presence, settles. Nobody wants to go because they're afraid they'll die if they see God. So they vote Moses and send him up instead. Right? I'm not going. Moses, God talked to you once before with the fire thing. You guys are cool. He won't kill you. You go. Right? But it says that before they even did that, God spoke and they thought it was thunder and they were afraid. Half of them fainted. just by his voice alone. There's real fear in the presence of God. The second thing we must not do when we think of fear of the Lord is that we must not see him only as fearsome. He is, yes, we should be afraid, but there's a lot of other things at play. We must also remember and recognize that he's also the kindest Father who sent his Son to the cross for us. The fear of the Lord is only one aspect of our relationship with him. And that's one of the amazing things that makes our God different than all of the other gods out there. He's not one-dimensional. He doesn't just do one thing. You know, you have your Greek gods and your Roman gods and all your other stuff. There's a God for everything. As a matter of fact, in Acts, Paul's traveling and he comes across this thing that says, to the unknown God. Just in case we forgot the God of the dust mites or something, we need to have a statue just for the one that maybe we forgot about, right? Gods were one-dimensional. They did one thing. And so you had one God for this one thing, and another God for this other thing, and then this other God for this other thing, and there's a God for everything. Our God is the God of everything. There's one God, all the things. Right? He's multidimensional. He reveals himself as a multifaceted person. He doesn't just do one thing. He's not only fearsome, but he is also loving. He's not only fearsome, but he is also good. He is not only just, he is also merciful. He is Father as well as Lord, defender and protector, redeemer and friend, shepherd and guide, and so much more. He's not just one thing. And so our relationship with him can't just be one thing. So Mr. Beaver is also right when he responds to Lucy's question about Aslan being safe. Who said anything about safe? God isn't safe. He's God. But he's good. See, he says, of course he isn't safe, but he's good. He's the king, I tell you. We can't put God in a box or a cage or any of our descriptors. We must allow him the freedom that his character demands. He's not necessarily safe, but he is good. We are to fear the Lord, and with that foundation, we can build a sound life if we follow the path of wisdom. So a question we have to ask ourselves today, are we living in the fear of God? And in the New Testament, Paul writes this challenge for us, this command for us in 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1. Therefore, since we have these promises, dear friends, let us purify ourselves from everything that contaminates body and spirit, perfecting holiness out of reverence for God or fear for God. Because of our relationship with God, if we understand to be afraid or to have fear of the Lord, there's some stuff we should get rid of in our lives. There are some things we should and things we should not do. Let's purify ourselves. But again, how do we do that? Well, we fear God, and it starts our wisdom, and then we have the wisdom to know what gets to stay and what has to go. So we'll pick up this discussion next week. We'll continue then. But just know we have to start with the fear of the Lord. The first step is to recognize who God really is. See, he is God and we are not. We are to fear, respect, obey, and love him simply because he is good, just, and wise. If we can manage to get to that place in our hearts, minds, and souls, we've taken the first step to having the wisdom we need to properly navigate life. You want to make life easier on yourself? You want to have the wisdom that this book talks about? Start there. Recognize who God is and our relationship to him. If you can figure that out, you're well on your way. As we get ready to close with a song today, let's pray together. God, please give me the wisdom to think and act in a godly way when I come to decision points of life. Help me to fear you properly and trust you completely. Help me not to lean on my own understanding, but to trust the wisdom you give us because you are God and I am not. Help me to live with a healthy fear of you. As I am warmed by your love, let me be awed by your holy majesty and your power. Lord, let me tremble in your presence and bow with my face to the ground. Your holiness blows my mind. May it change my life too. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You stand with us and sing if you can.
When we walk with the Lord in the light of His word, what a glory He sheds on our way. While we do His good will, He abides with us still, and with all who will trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. But we never can prove the delights of His love until all on the altar we lay. For the favor He shows and the joy He bestows are for them who will trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey.
It's the beginning of wisdom. Trust and obey. Thank you so much for joining us here in the building and online. I forgot to mention, if you have your tithes and offerings, we don't pass the plates because we don't want to share anything. So put them in a little church house box on your way out the door. You are dismissed. Have a great week. Thank you for